This logo remained unchanged for over 200 years. Unlike companies that rebrand whenever trends change, I am looking at you Pepsi, Starbucks, and Kia. Twinings stood the test of time, making it the oldest logo of all time. And before you say anything, we are aware that the Stella Artois logo is technically older, being made in 1366. However, it went through a series of rebrands that dramatically changed how the logo looks, which makes Twinings' logo the oldest unaltered logo in history. So join me while I discuss the origin of this iconic logo and figure out the secret to its timelessness and what makes it a truly iconic logo. The Twining family originated from Gloucestershire, England, where they worked as weavers and millers for many generations. However, economic hardship in the late 17th century drove the family to relocate to London in 1684, including 9-year-old Thomas Twining. In London, Thomas initially followed in his father's footsteps by completing an apprenticeship as a weaver. Gaining this trade allowed him to become a freeman of the City of London, which was essential to eventually pursuing a business career. By 1701, the ambitious Thomas had become a freeman at age 26. By that time, he started learning about the tea trade while working for a wealthy merchant. Over the next 5 years, he studied tea importation as its popularity in London grew, seeing great potential for profit in this emerging industry. In 1706, Thomas purchased a coffee house called Tom's Coffee House to start his own business, located near wealthy areas rebuilt after the Great Fire of 1666. While coffee houses offered drinks like coffee, chocolate, rum, and brandy, Thomas stood out by introducing quality tea. As tea drinking increased in popularity, he began selling more dry tea than other wet drinks, also supplying dry tea to other coffee houses and wealthy households. By 1717, tea sales were so successful that Thomas acquired 2 adjacent houses to convert one solely into a tea shop alongside the coffee house. This allowed him to directly sell his high-quality, blended teas to his target audience, female customers, due to the increased popularity of home tea parties, as conventions still prevented them from entering coffee houses at the time. Thomas decorated the new tea shop entrance with a gold-painted lion sign, naming it the Golden Lion Tea and Coffee House, which remains at 216 Strand in London till this very day as the famous Twinings store. Flash forward almost 70 years into the future, it's 1783 and Richard Twining took over his grandfather's tea shop. In 1787, 80 years after the shop was founded, Richard Twining was about to take the first steps, revolutionizing marketing as we know it. He revamped the shop facade, and with it, the first basis for the logo. He added a lion and 2 Chinese men, in addition to a distinctive wordmark, comprising a classic serif font that invokes their early history. The 2 Chinese figures represent the origins of tea in China, and the Golden Lion is a reference to Thomas Twining's original dry tea and coffee shop, the Golden Lion Tea and Coffee House. The lion is lying down as a sign of respect to Richard's grandfather and the legacy he created. Through the logo, Richard modernized the shop while maintaining symbols honoring tea's origins, suppliers in China, and the family's resilience over generations, starting over in a new city due to economic hardships. Their logo combines history with images still on the facade today, representing tradition complemented by Richard's strategic revamp cementing their brand for centuries to come. Richard's logo still being used till this very day on all of their packaging and products is not a simple task. There isn't any other logo that achieved what Twinings achieved. So what was the secret to Twinings' success as a logo? Was it the simplism of the logo, which is actually becoming more and more common in recent years? Or was it the visually appealing golden hue of the logo that made it work, that has been popular with other tea brands? To answer these questions, we need to go back a few centuries and see how branding progressed as time went on. Logos at the time, unlike today, were more complex and compound, which worked well in their favor. They showcased their unique, complicated skills to stand out from competition. Let's go back a few centuries and take a look at some examples. Number 1. Cadbury. Cadbury was founded exactly 200 years ago in 1824. As a matter of fact, it just celebrated its 200 years anniversary with an incredibly clever newspaper ad. Anyway, when Cadbury was still starting out, this was its first logo. It was rugged, had too many things going on at once, and didn't express the brand in any way. And this is Cadbury's logo today. It's easily recognizable, portrays the brand in the intended way, and helps pull the branding all together, and it took Cadbury's an entire century for its logo to start looking like how it looks today. Another example is Ford's first ever logo. Coming out in 1903, Ford's logo was complex, bland, and unrecognizable, which is why only 4 years after it was founded, Ford started changing its logo to fit the branding trends of the time, until it reached its now iconic blue and white logo with its typographic font. Finally, we have Apple. Apple's first logo was unconventional, to say the least, even by the 1970s standards. Bear in mind that by that time, logos were starting to look like this, so it's safe to say that Apple's first ever logo wasn't the best. But that's fine, as only 1 year later, Apple changed its complex logo to its now iconic, simple, half-bitten apple. So what is our conclusion? What did we learn from all of this? Well, first things first, these first logos were not bad by any means, except Apple's. We do not talk about Apple. They fit the trends of their time, and they worked, as proven by the sole fact that they are still here in the 21st century. But these logos, contrary to Twinings, could never work in the 21st century. With website icons, apps, small profile pictures, and different packaging, logos nowadays need to be simpler, while still expressing the brand's position to its customers. So these complicated, artistic designs stopped appearing, and the rise of more straightforward, simpler designs took place, which is something that Twinings perfected centuries ago. Not only due to its simplistic nature, but its bright golden hue that fits the beverage industry also played a huge role. Additionally, it checks off every logo checklist there is and serves every purpose a logo should serve. A logo, despite popular belief, doesn't have to explain what your brand does. A logo's purpose is to simply be recognizable. Look at Google's logo, for example. It does not suggest any of its features or capabilities, and yet it's one of the most recognizable logos of all time. Similarly, Twinings' logo is easy to recognize due to its classic color palette and typeface. Also, as I have mentioned, its use of the golden hue is extremely similar to current tea and beverage brands, which further help the brand be associated with tea and more recognizable to customers. Additionally, a good logo has to be practical and dynamic, which is evident on the brand's website, social media, packaging, and their advertisement. The logo matches its industry and communicates its historical background successfully, which is never an easy feat, as we've seen from recent rebrands. Ultimately, Twinings' logo is perfect in every way that matters, and that's the secret to why it survived 236 years and counting. Current brands could really learn a lot from it. Well, that wraps up the fascinating origins and secrets behind the oldest logo of all time. I hope you enjoyed learning the history of logos and how they evolved over the years. And never forget, an effective logo needs to be identifiable above all else. Make sure to like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for more marketing videos and analysis. Finally, let me know in the comments what other legacy logos you'd like me to cover. Thanks for watching.